When making this video, Sumail actually got loaned to Asta, which means we'll see more games with the king or the emperor. But anyways, Sumail in my opinion is still a top 5 mid player, and he's one of the few mids that tried experimenting with the new universal heroes in the major. But in this video, we'll have a look at how Sumail played Windrunner in the Berlin major. This is a pretty old tip, but if the other mid is a tryhard and D ward's your mid ward, a good way to punish that is for you to constantly stay on the low ground when possible, because when you stay on the low ground, you don't give vision to the other team's mid when they're on their high ground, meaning the other mid can't pull aggro from the creep wave. So here Sumail stays on the low ground, and GPK tries to pull aggro, but the creeps don't follow, and while Sumail doesn't get the deny on both creeps, GPK just missed out on 2 CS. But if you want to pull aggro, remember pulling aggro is a global thing, so here Sumail looks bottom, right clicks PL, and this helps him pull the creeps away to get an easy CS here. While we're talking about creep aggro, besides using power shot to secure a range creep, a cool thing I saw Sumail do was pull aggro so you can land a confirmed double power shot off instead. So here Sumail hits the melee creep, so they're both about same HP, pulls aggro, and bang, power shot. Last thing about power shot is at level 5, one auto attack and a fully charged power shot can instantly kill the range creep. For using Windrun in lane, if you're actively trading, then windrunning at the start is fine, but if you're attempting to leverage your low HP to try to get the kill, it's actually best to use Windrun at the end of the other mid's combo. This also allows you to use your bottle during Windrun and actively heal while trading in the end. Because if you use Windrun at the start, the other mid might have just backed off, which means you've lost an opportunity to get a kill in the future. But if you get ganked, obviously use Windrun immediately and get the fuck out of there. The last thing I'll mention about laning is this play. I personally think this is the best play I've seen in a while. So in most situations, it seems almost silly to try to kill a Storm with full health and full mana, but Sumail actually attempts it, and he actually brings Storm down to 90 HP. He didn't have any intentions to kill the Storm, but what this does is it forces Storm to head back to base and TP back to the lane. The cool thing about this play is, well, besides Sumail getting a free creep wave, if Storm TPs back to the lane, if Sumail wanted, he could now gank a side lane, and since Storm TP'd back to mid, it's on cooldown and he won't be able to counter gank or support his side lanes if Sumail decided to gank, essentially trapping Storm in the middle lane. So this might be controversial, but for most mid heroes, I don't recommend ganking unless you can get a confirmed kill. So the requirement for ganking should either be to find a haste / double damage rune, or the other team is below 40% HP in a side lane. But in my opinion, Windranger is the exception, because with 4 levels in your power shot, it's a 470 damage nuke with a 9-second cooldown. So with the right setup, you can get 2 power shots off, making that a 940 magical damage nuke. And most heroes in the side lane shouldn't have more than 1000 HP in the early game. So here Sumail actually just TP's top and helps his team, well, kill everyone. I'll note the MVP of this play was actually PQ Crystal Maiden, as there must have been some really good teamwork and coordination / communication by taking the twin gate when Sumail was TPing for this 4-man gank. I can only imagine him pinging saying, after you kill Disruptor, let's get the Urza. Pretty straightforward kills, but nice play here by P-Dog. Even if you don't have a TP scroll, you still have Windrun as Windranger. It only takes 10 seconds for you to run to a lane, so it's worth looking for these kills in the side lane. So here Sumail runs top, and because he was so active, Sumail helps his team get 3 kills and win this fight. Remember, you don't have to farm items in the early game as Windranger because your power shot is already a huge nuke that does a lot of damage. So here, he just chases down Collapse, he jukes for a bit, gets shackled and power shotted, and for some reason Mira decides he wants to feed 2. Rest in peace. Also, to mention, when ganking, since you're already there, just throw your shackle, because the shackle range is actually longer than you think. It's 575 units behind the person you shackle. So as shown here, while he doesn't get the kill, you should still throw your shackle as you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Item build / skill build. The item build is pretty situational. From what I can see, Sumail usually goes treads into Rod of Atos. Remember, Windranger is now a universal hero, so the damage is nice from stats. I'll get into why this item is rushed a bit later, but continuing with items, he'll get BKB if it's needed before finishing Gleipnir, then Dragonlance and Daedalus. If he's feeling it, he buys a blink in between, but you'll see it's not actually needed as much. As for skill build, like normal you want to max Power Shot, but the next thing Sumail does is actually max Windrun over Shackle Shot. But why is this? I believe it's because he rushes Rod of Atos, as mentioned before. If you max Shackle Shot, the maximum stun is only 3.1 seconds, and you only have 1 point in Windrun during the mid game. Whereas Rod of Atos is a 2-second confirmed route, and a level 1 Shackle Shot, if landed, is a 1.6 second stun. So 1 point in Shackle Shot plus Rod of Atos is already a 3.6 second lockdown. So this skill build, by maxing Windrun second and rushing Rod of Atos as a first purchase, is a nice way for Sumail to fight more aggressively using Windrun, and to help him set up kills for his team during the mid game. I'll note, when you max Windrun, there's only a 6-second downtime where you can't be windrunning, and if you get the level 15 talent, that gap drops down to 3 seconds. So let's see this in action. So in this example, Sumail TPs down, ignores the Pudge, and instantly uses Windrun to hunt down the Urza. If he had 1 point in Windrun, he wouldn't be able to close the gap, or get this Rod of Atos route off. Then he ulties, follows Urza for a bit, Windruns up again if needed, and gets a nice Power Shot finish for the kill. Nicely done. Again, this was only possible because he maxed Windrun second. Mid-game / solo killing potential, kind of. If you haven't figured it out yet, Sumail uses Windrun to close the gap, then uses Rod of Atos or Gleipnir to root the target, and while Windrun is still active, he repositions himself to get the best angle to help him land a Shackle Shot. I'll give a few examples. So here, he gets revealed in the smoke, has an insane game sense to tell him to throw Gleipnir in the general vicinity, and help set up Axe for a call. On Void Spirit again, starting with Gleipnir, it's unlucky that he got tagged by the Remnant, but Windrun is still active, and he gets a nice Shackle Shot on Void, and finally gets the kill. Here, he finds Enchantress, again, root, ulti, shackle, and Power Shot. Finally, he sees Queen of Pain, but waits for Alchemist to TP down. Then, Windruns, Rod of Atos, closes the gap before shackling. Monet comes in clutch with a stun and helps Sumail secure the kill. For mid-game teamfights, you actually want to hold your focus fire for the highest target kill. So here, Axe finds Disruptor, so Sumail doesn't blindly ulti him. Instead, just throws a Power Shot. He blinks aggressively and finds Void. Void jukes for a bit, doesn't really work, and Monet self-stuns. But Sumail hits the Shackle because there's a forest behind Void, and I can only assume he doesn't ulti because Axe Call is about to come off. He moves forward and finds Grimstroke. Again, doesn't use Focus Fire, but I'm pretty sure he's just holding it out just in case Urza or Doom try to enter the fight. But if you find a core, it's 100% worth using Focus Fire for. So here, Axe and Sumail find Void, and they start beating into him. So in summary, use your Focus Fire on higher priority kills, not just the first person you see in fights. Crazy thought, but overanalyzing teamfights is quite fun for me, so here are 2 examples where I can do that. I mentioned earlier, Focus Fire should be saved for the highest priority kill, and not just supports, so let's see that again in action. In this example, Asta knows Team Spirit's on the left, but watch how Sumail doesn't attempt to help with killing Void. He's just carefully analysing the team fight, either looking for Urza or Doom, and when Urza finally shows himself, he runs in, ulting, shackle, and then uses Gleipnir on an enraged Urza, blinks aggressively, and still ignores Disruptor, and once Urza dies, he turns his attention to the next value target. That happens to be the Void. Once Void escapes, the next person to focus would be Doom. Now, a smart play here, Sumail only channels half a Power Shot to ensure blink on the Doom is still on cooldown. Then he blinks up to him, lands a few auto attacks, and finally uses Shackle Shot, and Baboka gets the kill. Not sure where to put this example, but this is a really cool teamfight concept by Team Spirit. Spoiler, it's a shame it didn't work out, but let me try to explain. So, usually teams will wait for their full team lineup to be alive before defending or starting a fight, but here Team Spirit decides to make a gamble and jump in before Urza respawns. I like this idea because you can tell it caught Asta off guard, which helped Team Spirit get the initial jump in and secure a Doom on the Alchemist, and eventually killing the Alchemist. If they waited for Urza to respawn, they would have given up a Rax for free. So back to Sumail. Notice, even when Doom was on the Alchemist, he still held his ultimate, as if he killed Doom after Doom was used, it's not as valuable. So he waits for the next big target, and that was Void. The moment Void appeared, Sumail instantly ultis him. After Alchemist dies, Sumail just wants to leave the Static Storm, but stays close enough to help the Axe get the kill on Doom. The moment Urza joins a teamfight, Sumail uses Windrun and I'm pretty sure this is just a reflex, not a play, and Void Spirit forgets that Focus Fire lasts 20 seconds. And since Sumail used it on him at the start of the fight, Focus Fire is still active, and Sumail gets an easy kill on the Void Spirit. Sumail notices Urza going for his Crystal Maiden, and with Doom dead and Urza being the only hero that can kill him, he aggressively jumps in on the Disruptor and gets an easy kill. So Disruptor buys back, he gets Glimpse back, and he loses Aegis. It's a 3v5, but Sumail isn't thinking of retreating. During the downtime of respawning, he's actually looking for the best angle to get a shackle off. I assume he went for Urza because it's the closest target, and after Urza used Enrage, Sumail decided it's not worth diving anymore. So I really appreciate Team Spirit's last ditch effort, but it shows the nice decision making with Sumail to hold on to Focus Fire and not to waste it on the Doom. I think Void jumping in again was needed, but he probably honestly forgot Focus Fire lasts that long. And finally, I think it was a big misplay to get both cores caught in the Axe call after respawning from Aegis. This build does not do a lot of damage without Maelstrom first and eventually getting a Daedalus. If you're up against someone who's incredibly tanky, it's not worth your time trying to take them down first unless you have either Maelstrom or Daedalus. So like, I'm probably going to give an example where Sumail and XSS sees an Underlord and they both just ignore it, which is pretty funny to see. But just a reminder, until you get Daedalus, do not attempt solo kills unless the person is extremely squishy. And with that out of the way, thank you guys for watching, make sure you subscribe, and leave what hero you want to see next. Alright, bye.